Want to welcome into the studio Superintendent of Clinton Public Schools, Mr. Nathan Meggitt. Good morning.
Morning, Todd.
We were just talking a little baseball and all that. We're going to be over at your place tomorrow. My son's team has a game with Clinton tomorrow night, so I'm looking forward to that.
Hadn't checked out our Little League Baseball, but I know Rhett Blundell and Jacob Lee do a great job running Clinton Baseball Inc. Now, my wife and me actually are in charge of the softball side of it.
Okay.
And I know that stuff's gotten going here the last couple of weeks, so the ballpark was packed out at Acme the last few nights.
Yeah, I heard you had to throw John Matthews out for yelling at the umps a couple of times.
I wouldn't mess with John. He spends too much money in the concession stand. You gotta let him say his piece, because you know he's gonna go put a lot of money back into the concession stand.
Absolutely, without a doubt. Well, gosh, we are winding down the school year. It's hard to believe how fast. Well, it probably hasn't gone fast for you. It's gone fast for me as a parent. But can you believe it's almost graduation time?
No, it's gone fast. It seems like this time last year we were transitioning into the role I'm in now, but just starting planning on what our goals were going to be for the next year, and boom, it's back to that point again. We're starting to work on what's going to happen for the next year. So,
well, what's it been like being the head man now?
Got a really good team to work with. That's that fortune, especially starts in that board office. Donna Warnick, my mother, works in that office. She runs payroll. Donna's our treasurer. Alice Cifuentes runs that front office. Nikki Mandrell, Natalie Blundell, and Glenna Burke, and then Melissa Kanabe, the assistant soup. But those ladies in there keep you straight. They're a great team. Yeah. And people don't understand that central office in a school. What they do really well is they make sure everybody has their resources in place and things operate. It goes under the radar, but those guys, they're kind of the heartbeat of what happens in operations in the entire district. So I've been very appreciative of that team I work with. But like our leadership team, there's 19 people on our leadership team, which is really good. We've had really good bones and structures in place for a long time, and we kind of share a lot of the work we do. So it's the difference in what I did last year to this year is just the buck stops.
Yeah,
I hadn't had very many sleepless nights ever in my entire life till this last year.
Oh, I'm sure,
because there's some things, and there's times where you make decisions sitting in a superintendent seat where there's some things that are going to weigh heavy on you, and I knew that going into it. And there's kind of the rule of thumb: you're going to tick off 3 families a year when you're a superintendent. That's why I think the superintendent role in most places is less than probably 4 or 5 years.
Wow!
You start talking about families that are affected, not just people.
Sure,
because you could make every decision right, and you don't see it, and you're not in somebody else's shoes. There's going to be some people you affect, and not on purpose.
Yeah,
and I just think it's. You gotta lead with conviction. I tell all my friends that get into it, sometimes they worry and stress out about a lot of things, and hey, we're hired to be a leader. Yeah. That's part of what's expected, and it comes to the territory. And we're not perfect in what we do, but I'm grateful for the team that I have wrapped around me. So it's been good.
And you have a supportive school board, which is very helpful.
Our board is amazing. Yeah, there's 5 people on that board that have kids' best interests at heart, and I'm very appreciative of those guys too.
Well, cool. It just seems like literally it was a month ago when we were saying, hey, congratulations, you're the new superintendent. Here we are wrapping up the school year. You got something really cool going on at the high school today, don't you?
Oh, Debbie Carlisle and our capstone class have a reality check going on. I think I was looking at the list just a minute ago. There's 34 people coming to town.
Wow.
They'll set up booths in the dome. And what they do is kids they give them what their job's going to be. They give them an estimate of what their salary would be. Now, kids are going to start going around. They're going to look at what their taxes are going to be for the year. They're going to look at what their bills are going to be. They're going to look at what housing's going to look like. They're going to look at what they can actually save for retirement. But it's they're going to see what they want to do, if they can make it stretch in these days and times.
And it's very funny because at one of the tables they give you, I can't remember what it's called, like a consequence or something. They say, oh, you just had a wreck. You've got a $10,000 bill, or your heating and air system went out.
Yeah,
it's real stuff.
It is. Yeah, it's like I said, try as close as you can get to a simulated reality check. And some of those kids, their eyes, they get opened up to maybe have some empathy of what their parents are going through too.
It's very funny because I think about the first time I was out on my own, And, well, of course, going to college at first at OU, that was a reality check. And I was quickly decided it's too big for me, But then I remember, a year or so later getting my first apartment. I was like, freedom, this is awesome. Then I'm like, wait a second. I paid my rent. I paid my utilities. Do I have any grocery money?
Right.
I mean, budgeting is such a huge deal.
It is, and you probably didn't have a clue how to budget when you
No. There was no Dave Ramsey back then?
There was none of that. No, we just and I don't know how we made it, but I did. I mean, I don't know about you, but when I turned 18, I went to school here at Southwestern, and I moved into the dorms, so stayed in the dorms for a year. But after that, I just lived in apartments or in a trailer house and worked 3 or 4 jobs on the side just to make sure we had enough money to pay our bills and have a little fun.
Well, it's cool, though. I think Miss Carlisle doing this thing is just been an amazing program for the students, and it prepares them for the real world, because a lot of them are going off to college, which is incredible, but some of them are going right into the workforce.
Yeah, we'll have quite a few. I think our college going rate's around 50% now, so there's 50% of our kids looking for a job when this can then come out. And they did that a couple weeks ago. They had a job interview process, which that keeps growing too. I know a year ago when I helped out that process, you'd see different kids on the spectrum. They'd show up, some of them in a shirt and tie and interview really clean, and some of them show up in their house shoes and flip-flops. And you get to this year, it was a lot better. Kids are a lot more prepared. They actually asked some better questions. So you see that growing in our capstone program. The capstone program has been very impressive. Michelle Sorter and kind of what the high school staff with Debbie Carlisle set up has been really good for our kids.
Well, as an employer, guy that I'm not the big boss here, but I do some of the hiring, on the programming side, and I appreciate that, because that's a pet peeve of mine, is when people show up for interviews not looking like they want a job, and sometimes they're just not taught that at home. So being able to do that in the capstone program is really cool.
Yeah, and we make the assumption that everybody ought to know everything when they're a kid and they come out too. It's just a start. High school's just a start. And like you said, you hit on it, not everybody's taught that at home.
That's right.
Yeah, and I had this discussion yesterday, Todd, with one of my principals. We get asked a lot in schools. Besides just reading and math and science and social studies, there's some other things people expect us to do, and we can't do everything for everybody and can't be everything for everybody.
Right.
We've got to kind of get our focus back on what we are charged to do as educators. Doesn't mean we're going to try to ignore some needs and work on that stuff, but if we want to be really good and change the needle education-wise, we've got to get back to focusing on the education part of it.
That's such a great statement, because talking to so many teachers that I do, you're expected to do so many things that didn't really come with the territory when you were training to be a teacher.
No, we have best intentions.
Sure,
and we've
and
had
you
best
do
intentions,
great things.
Even with the technology conversation now. Everybody's had best intentions for a long time, but I think we're coming to see that less might be more for our kids. Hold them accountable. A little bit less on being a parent for everybody. We're not there to be your parent. That's a parent's decision. We don't have to do that part of it. Let's be there to help them get their education.
Yeah, and there's kind of a focus. I think you and I talked about it before. There's been the focus about being so inclusive and trying to always keep kids in the class, but sometimes we found out that's not always the best chance. Sometimes there's 1 or 2 kids that are disruptive, and they're disrupting the other kids, and so we're rethinking how we do that, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and that's not everybody. Kids need discipline. Kids need accountability. Kids need structure, and we know that. And we're going to set up some things in Clinton where we can give that. Not everybody wants to sit in rows and learn all the time.
Yeah.
We've got to be good at the career tech stuff, the hands-on stuff. But we also, some kids like to do stuff on their own. They'll go do what you need. They just need some support and some space, and just leave them alone.
Yeah.
So you still want to provide some opportunities and some different avenues, because I believe that educating our public is really important. An educated workforce is really important. So we've got to find a way to get them the very basics, but we've also got to say, all right, we can't force everybody into sitting in straight rows and doing that. That's not what everybody's built for either.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the virtual conversation that leads to some of that too. That's
Yeah.
good for some of our people.
Yeah, I was going to say, you talked about that last time that you were here. You're like, instead of, all these other choices out there, different outside companies, you're looking at doing some virtual options for students in your school district,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah, we're looking to grow that program a little bit and be able to serve people, and different families need different stuff. That goes back to parents know what they need and what they want for their kids. Let's trust them. If they want something that's a platform, that's an online platform that they can do on their own time, let's provide that for them. That's what public education is, and we have the tools.
Yeah.
We can do that. If that's what they need for their family and they want to get the basics of education for their kids, we're going to provide that for them.
Well, looking back to this year, what are some of the highlights? I guess, obviously, the new middle school, a big deal.
Absolutely. That was a huge project. That's probably been our biggest highlight for the year, is getting in that. And that first scene, the first night our public get to walk in that building, I was really cool to see that first minute you walk in, and there's probably 500 people walking through the building. It's a great scene. It's something that's exciting. It fits right along with what we have going on the interchange. I heard on the radio David Barong talking about the interchange. It just fits kind of what the heartbeat of Clinton is right now, and you can see some things happening, and we're proud to kind of be at the forefront of that.
As you look ahead to the growth of the town and everything, what will be the next needs to be addressed at the school system? Because you've done some stuff at the elementary schools. Down the line, will you need to do something at the high school? Or
the high school is a really good building at the moment. No,
okay.
But there's some wants. We can move past that, and we've got some of our Redbud funding. What we'll do every year is the Redbud funding that comes in, the state set aside just for that. We'll be able to knock off some projects and not have to always go back and say, taxpayers, let's make a vote on a $40 million bond, which will be nice. It's nice to be able to get on that side of it. Our next big project's a press box for the football field, which is definitely it's not a need, it's a want. It's something that's going to be nice to have, and we had some bond money left over from the middle school that we'll be able to tie into the press box and do a really good job. Our libraries, most of our libraries besides the new middle school, need an update. So we need to go in our libraries. We've had somebody come in and kind of look, and we need to update what our libraries look like, where it's a space that looks a little bit more modern and welcoming, and set those things up. We got to look at some of our growing programs. Soccer has been dominant in Clinton for a long time. You know how many locker room? The first time soccer had their own locker rooms was a year or two ago.
Really?
Yeah, they have to share everything. So we're looking at some things we can do maybe to help some of those programs, because soccer has been big in our town, and it's one of the best programs in our town. We need to put some resources into that as well.
That's super cool. And of course, looking forward to next fall. You've got a new football coach, and he's already been around with his assistants, and from what I understand, getting some kids that maybe haven't played in a while.
He's
coming back, right?
Yeah, he's trying. He's recruiting the halls like crazy. My kid comes in all the time and said, "Oh, great, Coach Powers is here. He's going to try to get me to play football." Coach Connor's 6'6", about $155.
Yeah,
I think he'll grow into it one day, and he could probably make a hand. But it's pretty funny because they are recruiting and got some guys that draw kids in. It's a good thing and get them excited, and I'm excited for Coach Powers and for his staff, Coach Harlan and Coach Watson, those guys coming in, and I'm excited for the young staff members that we already had too. I think it's going to be a good mix. Coach Powers is actually coaching the girls golf team right now.
Oh, is he?
Yeah,
wow,
so he's
okay.
taking them to state. He's came in after spring break, but he's kind of helped out with the golf program and taken over that girls golf program side of it, and they're headed to the state championships next week. So.
Well, good luck to them.
Yeah.
We're talking with Clinton Superintendent Nathan Meggitt. Quick break, back with more right after this.
This is Mike Mazie, conservative Republican, candidate for governor, and proud follower of Jesus Christ. Several years ago, a car crash left me with a broken back. I couldn't walk. To survive, I turned to the book of Galatians. Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. My faith gave me strength. It also steeled my resolve to do what's right.
Mike Mazie, pro-Trump conservative Republican for governor.
The next generation deserves a plan for their future, where every child learns how to read, where taxes are low and good jobs are waiting, and where innocent life is protected. That's why I'm running for governor.
Mike Mazie, 100% pro-life, a Christian, a conservative with a plan. Mike Mazie for governor. Authorized and paid for by Macy for Governor 2026.
Now through May 2nd is your chance to save big on tools. It's the 10-year anniversary tool sale at Napa of Weatherford. Right now, 10% off all tool brands. Plus, get an extra 10% off already marked down Milwaukee tools. Napa air compressors, Portacools, toolboxes, Carlisle tools, all 10 to 20% off. These are savings you absolutely don't want to miss. So drop by Napa of Weatherford before May 2nd and take advantage of the 10-year tool sale. Napa of Weatherford, located at 115 South Washington Avenue. Open Monday through Friday, 7 to 6, Saturdays 8 to noon.
Turn back the pages of history. See the Route 66 Porterhouse Diner where Elvis ate a hamburger. Play school in a one-room schoolhouse. Take photos of historic classic cars and trucks, all on display at the Heartland of America Museum in Weatherford, with hundreds of exciting exhibits giving you an up-close look at the life in Weatherford and western Oklahoma, all along Route 66.
Get your kicks on Route 66.
Visit the Heartland of America Museum today, located on South Frontage Road just off the East Main Weatherford exit between Airport Road. Making memories on Route 66 at the Stafford Air and Space Museum. The Centennial Cruise rolls into the Stafford Air and Space Museum in Weatherford this April, and this is your fourth chance to get your name in the running for that Route 66 Suburban. Swing by all month long at 3000 Logan Road, then mark your calendar. April 30th, we're going Facebook Live to draw our fourth contestant. No purchase necessary to sign up for the Centennial Cruise Route 66 Suburban giveaway. Making memories on Route 66 at the Stafford Air and Space Museum with Wright Media.
Every day starts somewhere. Taking the kids to school, heading to work, or getting out of town for the weekend. The vehicle you drive is part of it all. Hi, I'm Corey Krutzinger at Wendy Nissan in Elk City. If you're thinking about your next vehicle, we have a full lineup of new Nissans, plus over 100 pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs are ready to go. And if financing hasn't always been easy, we offer credit solutions designed to help. Stop by and see us at 114 Access Road in Elk City. And remember, our service department works on all makes and models. Wendy Nissan in Elk City, ready when your next drive begins.
Deer Creek Market and Variety in Hydro, the best in friendly small-town customer service, hosting everything from fresh hand-cut steaks, fresh ground beef made in-house, along with fresh fruits and vegetables, grown and made in Oklahoma, nuts, candies, salsas, pickles, and more. And don't forget to check out the Variety side, full of unique made-in-Oklahoma gift items. And now, treat yourself to the brand-new ice cream and coffee parlor, your new go-to spot for a sweet scoop or a fresh brew. Shop Deer Creek Market and Variety in Hydro.
725, the Western Oklahoma Wake Up Show, brought to you by Priority Home Medical Equipment. Our guest is Clinton Superintendent of Schools, Nathan Meggitt. Well, I tell everybody all the time when they ask me, hey, I haven't seen you on Facebook lately, or hey, you're not firing off mean tweets on Twitter. I say, well, that's all Nathan Meggitt's fault, because he turned me on to this great book called The Anxious Generation, and it was about, technology overload on kids, but it convicted me that I was spending way too much time on social media. So, I took it all off my phone. I occasionally pull up Facebook on the work computer, but I have it set up to where I have to have two-factor authentication. So I have to get a code texted to me to even log on my computer. So I basically just use it like I've been using it to try to find political candidates, the past couple of weeks. But I did, when I was on a week or so ago, I did see a little post that you put up that got a lot of attention about some legislation that kind of came through this year.
Yeah, it was kind of on the state testing part of it. There was a bill summary that kind of the final part of the bill came through, and it said we're going to have to start testing second graders. And parents can opt out. The part they put in, and I think it was Hilbert and Senator Pugh, Speaker Hilbert and Senator Pugh authored this, and all session long it was 3rd through 8th grade. We're going to do the Mississippi model. But at the last moment, the 11th hour, they slipped in a deal and said, hey, we're going to test the second graders with the 3rd grade test. Test them ahead of time, which now you're talking about the first thing that hits my mind is I want to do away 3rd through 8th grade testing anyway.
Yeah.
And now we're asking, we're even going to add more to it. We're going to have to plan for more testing and organize more testing with second graders. Parents can opt out of it. It's not great, but man, I'm a big advocate, and I think we could save the state some money and invest it back in our people if we found a way. Because it's a federal law, you have to have some accountability. It's getting federal money is the biggest part of it, but 3rd through 8th grade testing, let's do away with it. Let's be Oklahoma. Let's say, no, we already have the diagnostic data. We have a mirror. You were talking about a mirror
Yeah.
off the air. We have some ways where we can see where kids actually are reading wise throughout the year. That's useful data that we could use in lieu of taking a state test, a high stakes state test. And I think we spend, Todd, $90 to $100 million a year on state testing. Well, let's take that money and leave it in the formula. Let's put it towards some of our support personnel. Let's start paying some people, see if we can put that into our formula. And some of our support personnel have some of the biggest jobs in the school district, the janitors, the cooks, some of your paras, some of your discretionary aides, your full-time subs, your secretaries. Let's see if we can pour some of that money back into the people, which we know we lean on technology a bunch, but the people are who make that school business work.
Well, and the testing, the pros and cons have been going over and over for you. I remember talking to my uncle, George Auld, a longtime superintendent and principal and teacher before. I think 30 years ago, he said, my fear is that we're just teaching kids memorization for the test, but they're not retaining the real knowledge that they need to go on in life. And once again, we all want accountability, but it seems like if you're taking regular testing on a weekly or biweekly basis on subjects, isn't that enough? Why put a whole other test out there?
Well, and we used to take it. I think we used to take
we had
something
Iowa.
at the end.
We had Iowa
we took it at the end of the year.
Yeah.
And these guys in the Facebook post, I'm kind of like you. I don't post very often. I probably should have thought about that because Anthony Moore's a good friend, and I think he took some of that personally because I said it's ridiculous. But I have a great relationship with the guy.
Yeah.
I don't want him to ever think I'm coming to him. This is a societal problem.
Yeah.
And I think the whole nation I have an issue with us doing that 3rd through 8th grade kids in the entire nation, not just Oklahoma kids. And as far as leading, I think Oklahoma needs to get out on the front edge of this. Hey, that's enough is enough. We've put more play into a legislative bill, which is great.
Yeah.
We're saying no cell phones in school. That's what Oklahoma does. We know it's bad. Let's put that out there. Oklahoma's doing some things that I think are big, and I think we can take another step and say, no, we want our kids to come out, and Oklahoma kids need the background knowledge from science and math and social studies. Those need to be important parts because right now when you talk about 3rd through 5th grade, 3rd through 6th grade testing,
it's just math and reading, right?
Yeah, they don't even get introduced to science, a lot of people, until 6th grade, 5th or 6th grade.
Yeah.
Why are we doing that to kids? That's some of the stuff that makes kids curious, right?
Yeah.
And those are things you start talking about social studies and history, and you talk about science, and that gives kids a chance to kind of hook everybody into something. And the play part of it is big time. I like that they added more recess time.
Yes.
I'm a big proponent of that. But with that, with some of the other stuff you're saying, well, now we're going to have to spend X amount of time on math. We have to spend X amount of time on reading. Well, how do you fit in the social studies and the sciences?
Yeah.
Especially in those younger grades.
And it's all important. And once again, you and I both are the biggest proponents of reading, and it's critical. But I will say this, it all depends on what happens at home. If kids are not read to and introduced to books at an early age, they're going to struggle reading in school. And you can have the extra reading specialists come in, and they can really make great progress, but it's not the same for a kid that's never been exposed to reading.
Well, and I'd even argue, though, Todd, that those reading tests they're taking are not just reading tests. They're really tricky, too. I mean, some of that stuff...
It's a comprehensive...
Absolutely.
Thing,
but if you
so,
want to... I think there's a big misconception. A lot of people think our kids, they can't... It's kind of like, I always think of the guy that went through OSU that played football back in the 80s that got through there and couldn't read or write.
Yes. Dexter Manley.
Dexter Manley. And I think that's probably what a lot of people, what they think when they say kids can't read. No.
Yeah.
You go sit down next to nearly every one of our kids.
Yeah.
Some of them are going to they'll struggle a little bit because we have EL kids, we have kids that the decoding part of it, they're very literal.
Yeah.
Kids can't think abstractly, but our kids are reading.
Yeah.
Now, can they read and can they go tell you everything they read and go answer a question on it at the moment? No, I can't do that.
Yeah.
I every test I took when I had to go start taking ACT or other tests to get my college degree or to get the certificates for me, I didn't read what the stuff was. I went and read questions.
Yeah.
and went through the text and found out where the answers were.
And that's exactly how I've taught my kids.
So
to
is
do
that
these
tests? Is that
Yeah,
judging my
yeah.
reading, or is that
Yeah.
being a problem solver?
Yeah, exactly.
I had Miss Moses in third grade. It was called a challenge class, and
Yeah.
one of the best things she did, she always had us puzzles out there that we had to figure out how to solve problems and
Yeah.
figure out how to connect the dots. And I think that's one of the best things we can focus on is teaching kids there's algorithms to most things.
Yeah.
There is a rhyme and a reason to most things. Well, that's what math is about.
Yeah.
You can look at numbers and charts, and you can figure out patterns in science. And the historical part of it is we don't need to keep repeating some of these mistakes we keep repeating. Why are we skipping out on social studies and studying what our ancestors and everybody else has done? And even the handwriting piece, Todd.
Yeah.
We talked about that off air too. That connects parts of the brain. When you want to talk literacy, that connects parts of the brain. The cursive, writing in cursive actually connects parts of the brain that helps kids be more literate.
And I'm glad that we're still teaching that here at our local schools. I mean, my son's, it's pretty rough to look at, but I was telling you off air, it hasn't, I don't think writing has been as much a focus over the last 20 years because of electronic devices and stuff. And there's a lot of positives with those devices. But I look at the applications now that come in from 18, 19, even 23-year-olds, and the handwriting is unbelievable. It's an epidemic, isn't it?
Oh, maybe, but they might. My handwriting's terrible too.
Well, mine is bad.
I could have been a doctor, right? You go look at some of the smartest people on the planet. You ever tried to read a script from a doctor?
Oh yeah,
yeah, and that's just.
But that's technology.
It is,
and, yeah. So.
And the other part, and I said this kind of in that post that was probably pretty ridiculous. Shouldn't even put out there. But I also said this part too. If there's not a problem, nobody can make money off of it and pitch you a solution too.
Yeah,
that's something nobody wants to talk about. Also, these ed tech companies.
Multi-billion-dollar corporation.
As long as we have a reading and a math problem, somebody's going to make money off education. And the sad part about it is education has turned into a big business instead of learning for kids. And we're putting this money, that the amounts of money that state legislature put in Oklahoma into education has been massive. But it also comes with a lot of things that we have to put it into.
Yeah.
Instead of saying locally, hey, here you go, you guys get after it. You know what you need to do for your local schools.
Well, I've said for years, the strings that come with federal money, state money, it's just like the way we fund, bond issues and stuff like that. I've always said, to me, the biggest thing that I think that we should fix, instead of having this money goes to this part of education, this money goes to, just say, this is the money that Clinton Public Schools get. You can decide whether you want to put that more in teacher salary, or you want to have the nicest football field, or you want to have the nicest classrooms. You get to decide, instead of making it, well, this money can only go for infrastructure. This money can only go for that. I mean, that just seems like an easier solution. It'll never happen, but.
And part of what we do, too, in the education business is we're a conservative state. We can't. Let's say, as a superintendent, I decide, hey, this year we're going to tighten up the belt a little bit. We're going to save some money up because we have some projects coming for the next 5 years.
Yeah.
We can only carry over a certain amount of things, and even that carryover money really can't be put into the general fund money, can't go into a building fund to save up money to do it. You have to spend down money because you hit a threshold. And sometimes you're spending money just to spend money instead of, hey, we're conservative. We know in 5 years we're going to have this need. Let's be able to take that money. Let's not fine people for being conservative with their money.
Yeah.
Let's be able to save that up and go put it towards a project instead of having to go raise taxes every time we want to.
That's why when I'm governor, things are going to change.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. We have a system in place, and I am grateful to live in a community that supports education. Yeah. And they understand that it is very valuable, and they understand that ranking and file kids in 3rd through 8th grade is not the end all. I mean, we're in a community. I don't know that our community will ever be great at those state tests. We're always going to look at them for purposes of, hey, here's our plan with our kids. But the state tests we get them and they're useless by the time we get the information. We've already collected that data. We have a plan in place. And I'm, like I said, I'm grateful to live in a community that trusts our schools. I think we've got a bunch of people in our schools that are very trustworthy and work hard at it. And I'm grateful in a community that supports it.
Well, and grateful to have you as a leader. And I will just say, once again, last night out with the end-of-year celebration with the broadcast kids, and I am blown away by the students in that class, and they represent Clinton well. So, and some of them are going to college, some of them are going right into the workforce, but they're all incredible students.
Oh, and you mentioned his name, Gavin Evans. He's going to be a big one to miss, man. That kid's been all over the place.
He's been a big leader for us.
Has. And you can see he came in the baseball. I kind of run PA for baseball games, and you see him coming in and out, just leading because he's there, and going to soccer games, just making sure everybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing. The kids, he's developed some leadership skills through that too.
Absolutely,
pretty impressive,
without a doubt.
Yep.
All right, well, Nathan, hey, appreciate the conversation, man. Always good chatting with you.
Yeah, as always.